Hello, my name is Alexander Rodriguez, and I am a network security major, and I want to go over my board's presentation with you guys. My board's website. I have my home portfolio for boards, SIP project, and my about page. Starting with the objectives for SIP, we have six of them, and the first one is us being tasked to create a network infrastructure design communications document where we had to create a network diagram implementing hardware components, connections to the outside world, physical layers of connectivity, and addressing slash including operational and security components. I went ahead and put in my NTW 102 assignment where I used this network diagram and I showcase the basics of IP addressing and configuration and basic infrastructure using four computers, printer, switch, server, and router, as well as connecting to the cloud. And I expanded on this idea when I went into my network security diagram and proposal. And all the documents are embedded in the text here. The underlying text is where these documents are. So if you want to explore my website and know more about these, you can. But yeah, I used my network diagram and I added VPNs, firewalls, and an idea of honeypot, which is an intrusion detection system. And then for NTW 102, I learned how to use Cisco Packet Tracer, and it was great in learning how to build a functional network. And I go into the IP configuration with it, and how to get connectivity, and I learned the basics of how to create diagrams and networks and do all the addressing. It was very fun. And I feel like with these assignments, I really do touch on network infrastructure design and I go into all the hardware components and physical layer connectivity and addressing. And I really show off my understanding. Now, with Objective 2, we had to install, configure, and test security hardware and software tools. Computer forensics was very fun because I was able to learn FTK Imager as well as Wireshark. FTK Imager was a way to create an image of data and perform investigative work on it, and basically allows for forensics work. Final was very fun because I was able to actually take a file and investigate it and gain more understanding on it. And same in computer forensics. We used PowerShell to understand hashing and see how information could be added to pictures to display images. Or, sorry, not images, messages. Some of these messages can be hidden in images, and we basically learned in this assignment how to, apply it and understand it in order to further manage and assess data um, to be analyzed. And then I have my NTS 350 Snort and Splunk certificate, with Snort being an intrusion detection system, and Splunk being a data analytics software that helps visualize machine generated data. And this was awesome for one, intrusion detection systems, and also the system hardening and understanding. And I have my certificates here to show my understanding. Objective 3 here was to construct, implement, and document a script or a program to automate a security related process or other task. My first one was in NTW 216, well, both these are, but I had to automate a script with Azure. And I basically created a bat file to go ahead and scan my computer for vulnerabilities weekly. It was fun. I used Task Scheduler, Notepad, and my command line to create a script. And then my favorite project one of my favorites, I would say, was using Active Directory. Um, a team that I was a part of was tasked with creating a bank server, and we had a big server. Let's see if I can show you the basics of it. Where we implemented many policies. We went ahead and had to create this using Cisco Manager. Had a bunch. We went into organizational units, making backup domains for the organizational units. We actually made a script so we can create all these users at once, and that was pretty fun. And yeah, we go into our group policies where we implement password and security policies and whatnot. And yeah, I feel like this really goes into administration and management, and it really goes into our understanding of that. For objective 4, we had to create a policy or procedure that addresses events such as disaster recovery or business continuity. In NTW 216, I learned how to create a backup domain on my own server, and that is what we applied into the bank server as well. And it was fun to learn how to create a backup domain, as it is important for business continuity in the instance where maybe a server is destroyed, or a flood happened, and then we need a backup to bring business and keep it going and keep a machine from faltering. Next project I had was security and app policies, where I used Palo Alto to apply policies to a firewall to help secure and monitor traffic that is being conducted on the network. It was fun learning Palo Alto. We got a understanding of that, and it was very interesting on how to make policies for Palo Alto and how I can apply it and implement it. And then in NTS 103, I had to basically learn and troubleshoot malware and ways to mitigate and get rid of malware in order to continue process on a machine and keep it running smoothly and stop it from getting attacked. That was very fun to learn. For Objective 5, we had to develop a research report or implementation plan concerning legal and ethical best practices. I first did this in NTS 201, where I had an implementation plan where I worked with a group to discuss risk management and ways to ethically and legally implement security and best practices, as well as making sure it fits into budgets and fits into a business in a way that fits. For Project 2, I have NTS 435, where I had a report on a standard of guidelines for firewalls and firewall policies. And it has a plan of implementation to go along with it that goes into the ethics and legality benefits of applying the standard and how important the standard is in terms of legality and ethics. And then for my third project, which I feel like can also go for, I believe, Objective 2, we go into system hardening, and I basically go in to discuss personal security implementations that can apply to anybody in a business, at home. It's basic things that anybody can do, and they can follow along to secure their computers and secure their data. For Objective 6, I had to research, document, and test and evaluate several current industry information security-based threats. I started with this one that goes over common attack methods that are relevant to today and still currently happen, and software and hardware weaknesses that apply to everything, all of our technology, um, as well as discussing methods of mitigation from attacks. And this can apply for businesses, it can apply for personal users, it can apply for schools, anything this document works to understand that objective. And then for project two, I had a risk assessment and mitigation, where I had to perform a risk assessment on on two branches, two branch business network that includes 50 endpoint users, 5 servers, and also follows PCI compliance. And I had to basically assess the problems that were on the branch businesses and how we can stop and prevent any data breaches or attacks from happening by eliminating some of the technologies that were implemented. And for my last project, I go into discussing how exploitations affect corporate businesses. T-Mobile was one specifically in this, talking about SIM card attacks, and it was basic ways on how to mitigate and understand these problems that are happening daily